All right, so we're talking Uncut Gems spoilers. If you guys want to check out our review and haven't already, feel free to do so. But this is spoilers for Uncut Gems, so don't be mad. We've given you the time. So the one quick thing, if you listen to our review, that I assume was anxiety-inducing on y'all's end, that wasn't for me. That largely comes from situation. I remember it like it was yesterday. So I'm going to nerd out on sports real quick. I'm sorry for my other hosts who probably do not care, and that's okay. But so LeBron James, he joined the Miami Heat in 2011. It's when the Mavericks won their championship. Yada yada. It's great, historic story. The Mavericks, the Rockets were my two teams at the time, but there was a third team, the Philadelphia 76ers, where they were playing the Miami Heat, and I rooted for them because I was like, oh, LeBron, he made the super team. Oh, no. With that said, I became a huge Sixers fan the year after. They were the 8th seed. They played the Bulls, and an insane turn of events, Derrick Rose got hurt, and they ended up spoiling the number 1 seed in the Bulls, and then went on to play the Celtics. And I bring this up because I remember every single game they played the Celtics in. And I'm not saying that to take away from y'all's experience. I just mean a lot of people were like on the edge of their seat because they didn't know the outcome of the game, which I remember vividly. I knew Kevin Garnett played well in the games where he played well. I knew he had a little bit of a slump. And I was like, oh, okay, so this film is literally like coming up with a backstory for a playoff series I already know about. So it was weird, like having that context, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, I definitely thought when I watched it in the theaters on my second watch, I was like, I'm sure this final scene is less climactic to people who actually watch the game.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, I didn't know what to think because I was like, clearly this is supposed to be like, ooh, you don't know how this is going to go. And the only thing I didn't know that would hit was the tip.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I see what you mean.
That's why I wanted to bring that up real quick. I've been a huge Sixers fan ever since. So, like, to see that, like, put on screen and, like, so many people are like, oh, yeah, like, they finally show sports on movies and it was cool. And it's like, yeah, but these are sports that, like, I paid attention to every game.
So Hayes a fake fan by being a true fan.
Yeah. Well, apparently they had loads of different athletes. They tried to get different athletes for that role, and they would change the script depending on who the athlete was. So this could have been completely different for you.
That's upsetting.
Yeah.
That's honestly really cool, actually.
Well, okay, see, me and my friends thought it was Kevin Garnett just because he does have that speech where he says The Rock. And, like, I don't know. For me, that's almost like a troll job on the Safdies to be like, oh, hey, we're rewriting this whole script based on that one line. And I'm like, what? I don't know. Okay, I will say this. The Safdies seem like they were having fun with this. The whole tour that they've been doing about Uncut Gems has been awesome. It's good to see them like gaining in popularity. That's what makes this more like even more so like disappointing for me because I'm like, what? Like, how did this happen? Another thing that I wasn't like the biggest fan of. I thought, I don't know. I didn't love the whole wife, like the divorce thing, because I felt like there was no context of what the relationship was like beforehand. And the first thing you see is his girlfriend, which is a weird relationship.
Oh yeah, I see.
In a way that I feel like doesn't get redeemed, I guess, or not that it needs to be redeemed, but it just feels weird, like it's building to something else.
It concludes.
Yeah, and then to have Howard die from like a point blank range gunshot, I thought was insane. Like, if someone presented that script to me, I would be like, no, this isn't what you do. Which I can understand how that's like a whatever they say Rian Johnson does in Star Wars 8. Where it's like, Yeah, yeah. And I can understand why people enjoy that, but feel free to talk full spoilers on the rest of this. Oh, random aside, I thought Lakeith was really good.
Ooh,
You.
Okay.
he's great.
Good. He's great.
So the thing that I will say my favorite part of this is it's interesting because I've actually grown on this over time a little bit, where at first I didn't really understand what they were going with when it was like, oh, the gem bidding scene, and then like how that ends up like not really concluding in a like quote unquote satisfactory way. And then like after that happens, they like go through all the trouble to try and get him to buy it again, and he does choose to buy it again. And I don't know, when I saw that I was just like, where is this going? But I actually really, in retrospect, really, 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 really like that. Because if he had I just think it's one of those things where it's like, if he had just been like, yeah, you can buy this for like the price you want, like there'd be no trouble. There'd be no movie.
Yeah.
But like the entire time he's like trying to get big, but then shit happens, and now he has to put that same energy just to get back to like where he was.
Even less.
Yes, even less,
Yeah.
right? And it's just like, and even when he has that opportunity, like he could just, when he finally even gets that money at the end, he could just pay them back, and he's just like, no,
Yeah.
wait, but like I can finally make this all completely worth it. And I don't know, like in retrospect, I really do like that. I like that a lot.
It's like an episode of Always Sunny, right? Where
Interesting. Oh, how so? That's interesting. Oh, Jen, hello.
I think she cut out for a little bit, but I think what she was saying is that like bad characters do bad things. That's why. Okay, it's interesting that you bring that up. I actually am.
Yeah.
I actually hate the first couple seasons of It's Sunny. It's Always Sunny, and I know a ton of people like. Yeah, I know a ton of people back that show up as like one of the greatest sitcoms, and like I'm one of those people that uses like TV and movies as like escapism, and like if things are like too negative and it doesn't seem like, if it's in a malicious way, it sort of rubs me the wrong way in a couple of different things. So I don't know. I don't know if Turtle's still here.
That explains you a lot. Actually, very fascinating.
Yeah. Because I love those
like
first few seasons.
I mentioned like a lot of my favorite movies are like Little Miss Sunshine, Fantastic Mr. Fox, and like Boy and the Beast, which are all like just fairly
feel good movies.
Yeah, exactly. Like I have a clear like lane that I stay in.
No, that's good.
And that's one of the things for like that bothers me is like with Good Time, it doesn't have that full lane. Like it's clearly not feel good, but there is part of it where like there's a brother relationship, and like they lean into that where they're like he's taking care of him. That's part of this film. That's part of that character. Whereas I never got the feel that, oh, Adam Sandler's looking out for his girlfriend. Adam Sandler's looking out for someone in the shop. He's just, and you're like that scene where he's like, see, this is my passion. Like this stone is like my world. Maybe that's what's supposed to be like the thing that he cares about the most. But even then, like the problem is, I don't know. I just feel there's weird things that happen in this movie that like I don't love the idea of Kevin Garnett taking the stone, because who in their right, he says it's $1 million. I don't care who you are. Like you don't take $1 million thing.
Yeah, but it's got magical properties.
Yeah.
Okay, then pay the $1 million.
Lamau had asked.
How he doesn't insist on the $1 million. He sells it anyway. He sells it to Kevin still.
It's because
that's when he's pushed in a corner.
Yeah.
Yes. Because he thinks he can get it $1 million. So that's what I'm saying is I actually think it's brilliant that like if he was just like, nah, you can buy it for like the 200,000 you're offering, like right at the very beginning, life would be great.
Yep.
Yeah,
No,
he would have
like-
been okay.
I think that so to me, I really like the aspect.
Isn't that like a very Parasite Bong Joon-ho thing?
Ooh, interesting. How so?
How dare
I-
you?
If they just played safe and did the safe
Yeah.
choice, then everything would have been fine.
Yeah,
Huh.
'cause the pursuit of money. I think for me, the story for both of those films is the pursuit of money will never end, and it
Are you
will
wait? Are
only-
you talking specifically with Parasite?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not. I'm not trying to dismiss your point, but I have big issues with that.
No.
But continue.
Those are the things that I personally, one of the things I personally took away from both those films. It's the fact that I like if you try to move up the chain keeps moving down.
Ooh, interesting.
The only thing I'd push back on that like I'd have a big disagreement on is you are shown this character who owns a store, who owns not one but two houses in New York.
Yeah.
He has very expensive watches, expensive clothes. You're shown that over and over that if he wanted to, he could live a comfortable life. But he just chooses to go out of his way. Whereas like Parasite, the family there, the only reason they have a pursuit of money is because like their way of living is difficult. Like they are pushed to the side. They're like kicked in the dirt because society has been like, oh, hey, poor people bad. So you're going to have to eat microwave pizza. You're going to have to go to a soup kitchen to get food and all these terrible things. That's the only thing I throw out because okay, this is a little bit of a Parasite spoiler, but as soon as they get that money, they don't even, it's not saying that like people with money are inherently bad. It's just saying people with money are comfortable. They have that line where they're talking about the mother and the other family. And they're like, oh, of course she's nice because she has money. And I feel like that's so different than Uncut Gems. I don't know. I'm not trying to
but like, is that really this? No, but like, sorry. But is that really the story of Parasite? Because, like, the rich family appear good, but that whole thing of that whole scene under the table, it's like a realization moment that, in fact, these people are kind of awful and doing things that they publicly shame in private.
But the only
every
thing
conversation leads to Parasite. I swear to God.
Yeah.
Every conversation.
all roads lead back to Parasite.
Every single road.
No, but the only thing I'd say about that is like think of the context of what is going on in that scene where the family, the Kim family, has abused the rich family. Like, say what you will, I get they're like, oh, Mr. Kim smells. That's kind of rude. But they just stayed and like they've worked their way into this family and they clearly have skills, but like they did it in like a tricky way.
Yeah.
So they're not like, I don't know. The thing that bothers me is like I think Parasite's like such a smart and well-written film, whereas like I don't think Uncut Gems is that. And I think the Safdies were like, haha, basketball. Wouldn't it be cool if we did gambling? Isn't that fun? Like, wouldn't that be exciting? And then they're like, oh, hey, jewelry. Like, that's also cool. And like the fact that there's 5 minutes in this movie to start it out, that feels like a completely different movie. This movie, I'm not gonna lie, this movie angers me like a lot.
Fascinating.
So it would be like, okay, it's like how people, I forget what female critic it is, but she compares Joker and Parasite, and she's like, oh yeah, she even goes as far as saying Joker is better at telling or at saying things about society than Parasite, where I think they're doing very different things. I don't even put them in the same conversation ever. And I don't know why, but that's like the same, like, as soon as someone like talks about Parasite, I'm like, you leave Bong Joon-ho alone.
Yeah, go off, hey.
No, I'm sorry. I wanted to love this movie. I'm sorry. Also, like the weekends in this, and that was.
I
Also,
love
The Weeknd.
that.
I mean, it is set in 2012.
I know, but for whatever reason,
Which I liked.
someone tweeted out, they're like, I can't believe the Safdies made a film feel so like 2012. And like the thing that bothered me is like there's clear reminders that it's in 2012, and it's like, yeah, I get it. Like I understand the year is 2012. I don't know.
My sister pointed out while we were watching it that Howard's headphones weren't 2012. I was like,
wow.
oh, okay.
Ooh.
Yeah, because you know the headphones of 2012 had the gray things on the end.
Oh,
Oh.
very
So,
tricky.
It was an error.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
lowering my
Safdie's-
score for Uncut Gems now.
Yeah, I'll be going to the IMDb Goofs page later today.
Oh my god.
No, but yeah, talk more positives, guys. Sorry,
It's great. Shut up, hey.
but you
Yeah.
gotta say why.
Okay. It's just a really, I don't know why I prefer it to Good Time. I might have to rewatch Good Time. But I think it's just slightly more. I think it's because the character's more irredeemable. I think that might be why I'm liking it more, because it's like, ooh, he got what he deserved in the end. Even though it was still tense and nail-biting to see, oh, what's going to happen with the basketball game? Is he going to win big? And then he does. And then that dude who looks like he's an extra from Goodfellas shoots him in the face. It's like, oh, okay.
He actually looked like, I forget who he looks like. I want to say he looks like Dolph Lundgren from
He
Rocky.
does.
He kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
But like New York version of him. No, the only thing
more Italian Dolph Lundgren.
is the thing that makes no sense to me. If they would have killed him at any time before, whatever, I don't care. But to do it when he has $1 million, what are you thinking?
He's just
The
mad.
dude was pissed. You could see in his eyes that he was pissed. He said earlier that I'm gonna kill you for like, I can't remember exactly why. It's because like he got ripped off or something. He's like, I'm gonna kill you. It's like, okay, he's probably gonna kill Howie. That dude looked pissed.
I just, okay, like in my mind, biting someone is worse than locking someone in a little office for 2 hours.
I mean, then again, after they kill Howie and his like what was it? His brother-in-law, whatever his name was,
Yeah.
Arno.
Yeah.
They eventually like loot the store and get away with it, because I think there's a bit of dialogue where they say, okay, get the cameras and like erase the tapes. So they'll probably get away with it.
Yeah.
And that all the loots in the store is probably equal to like almost $1 million.
Probably, you're right.
So like they get away pretty clean.
Of course. Turtle, say some positives.
I don't know, man. I vibe with it. No, I'm kidding.
Just vibe with it, man. You know,
Just vibe with it. I just-
it's like a really good song. You know, I don't know
Yeah.
why I like it. I just do.
I honestly, that makes a lot of sense, because like I feel very similarly about Good Time, where like I really like Uncut, but Good Time was it's just like, oh, this is real ketamine hours, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Oh, this soundtrack does so much for it, I think.
oh, for Uncut or Good Time?
Uncut. Well, both
Uncut.
of them,
Oh,
really.
yeah.
But
I do. Yeah.
Uncut. It really does feel like you're on something and you're also a gem in a cave.
Is this the new Zoomer furry?
Yeah. Which gem in a cave are you?
Oh my god. That's really cool, actually. I do like I do agree. I think Uncut Gems is just such an interesting film that like though I am a little bit perplexed by it, I have like it's mostly in awe, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm just like, you can make a movie like this? Question mark?
What?
Yeah.
I can understand that.
I also with that, right? I've talked about this before. I don't know if I said this in the spoiler-free review, but I always enjoy the Safdie brothers casting decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Just to have a bunch of random like non-professional actors and just go just stand there and be yourself, because you're a bit weird.
Yeah.
And I like that.
They probably have like a similar casting decision like Sergio Leone, who deliberately picked extras that looked distinct. I think the Safdie do the exact same thing, because each person in the film looks distinct from one another.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
That gives it its own unique world and character that other films don't have.
I think one of the actors, I don't know who it was, but straight up, they met at a casino and
Yeah, that guy at the end.
Yeah, and the brother said,
That makes so much
sense. You want to be in a film?
Because it was the night before shooting, and I can't remember which brother it was. And it was like, hey, you want to be in my movie? He was like, okay.
That's super fucking funny. Wait, so which character is this?
It's when Julia goes to that place to place the bet, she's next to that one guy and meets the Adam West looking guy again.
And they're just he's explaining how it works to her.
Yeah,
okay. And before helicopter guy's
hey, second time in a row. What day is this?
Yeah. Well, so that was so interesting because when the movie was finishing, for a brief second, it looked like the helicopter guy had was the real mastermind as he's carrying the cash out.
Because for a second I was like, oh crap, did he kill Julia?
Yeah, because I was like, is he whoa, was he?
That's what I thought it was going for.
Right? Oh.
And guys, I could have sworn that guy was Charlie Sheen in a ton of makeup and a wig.
He looks like Adam West and Donald Trump had a kid. He looks like both of them.
Oh,
or even Michael Sheen. He looks like so many different people.
Yeah,
he's like an amalgamation.
Yeah, if there was
people.
Character creator randomizing, that might be one of the defaults.
That's an interesting person.
My question to Yo is how did you feel about the pacing of the film? Because that was the really interesting thing for me. Sorry.
I'm negative on it, and I walked away not liking the pacing, and I think Good Time plays like a 60-minute movie just with how much adrenaline's in it.
Okay.
And I thought it was an interesting departure. I'll give them that, but I wasn't too fond of it. But yeah.
I don't think personally I like the pacing a lot. This doesn't feel like a 130-minute movie to me.
Yeah.
Like what Hay said, it feels way shorter. It feels like 60, maybe 50 minutes almost.
I said that about Good Time.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just making sure. I don't want.
You don't want to be misquoted.
I'm just taking what you said, but making it better.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Interesting.
And what about you, Turtle?
Oh, the pace. I think the pacing was fine. It didn't feel too long or too. Well, it wasn't going to be too short, was it? But I don't know. I didn't notice the runtime, which I think is the best thing I can say about many films.
Yeah. Okay. That totally makes sense. No.
Sure. I think that's about it that I have for the film. I think just to wrap up, I think this is directly just because of my own experiences. But the group I was with didn't actually vibe with it that much. I don't know. Yeah.
That usually contributes a lot of feelings towards the film, though, I find.
What do you mean?
If I go into a film and I love the film and no one else does, I think over the day my opinion shifts, or when I don't like a film and everyone else loves it. I don't know.
Okay, see that the opposite actually happens for me. When I am not big on a film and I talk to people that love it, I just get more why do you like this? What what do you see that I don't? When we were talking, because Theo was the one that reffed The Lighthouse on our review, and me and Danny were very negative in a lot of aspects about The Lighthouse, because if you walk, I actually understand if people love The Lighthouse. This film, not so much for whatever reason. But it was just one of those things where Theo kept just the importance that The Lighthouse can have in its themes and some of its motifs and metaphors. I was like, yeah, but also this is Willem Dafoe Toot movie. So
yeah, but it's a good Toot movie.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Okay, guys. The catchphrase that Adam Sandler says is the equivalent to Willem Dafoe's Toots, in my opinion. I thought there was some bad script writing here.
Those were the best Toots in cinematic history.
They really are.
Name a better two.
Name a better two.
Name a better. Despicable Me when they.
Nope,
Fart joke.
invalid.
Wrong
No.
already.
Nice try. And since we're talking Despicable Me, that's going to do it for a spoiler discussion on Uncut Gems.
But we were just getting into the groove of the lighthouse.
Yeah, we could talk about the lighthouse for a second.
Yeah, if you want to check out the Lighthouse video, feel free to check out the other spoiler discussions that will be linked at the end of the video. As well, we do a podcast every Monday that I already mentioned in the review. So make sure to check that out. We're going to have a Decade in Review tourney starting January and February. I'm super sick, so I got to go. Thank you to my hosts for doing this. It was lots of fun.
Thank you.
Bye.
Absolutely.
I disagree, Gary.